Welcome back to the program, and as mentioned at the very introduction of our show for today, we're going to go into an interesting segment which I definitely would love to get my hands on. Sri Lanka is located in the Indian Ocean. It's known as the Pearl of the Indian Ocean. And if you speak of the number of ports we have, it goes back into our little history books as to what we've been educated. Colombo, Trincomalee, Galle, and then we have Cancassantere, that is Oluville, and Point Pedro, and I think Hambantota is also on the list. Altogether, in a total, we have 7 ports here in Sri Lanka. Today, we're going to take you through a detailed history on what the Sri Lanka Ports Authority does, and also what its progress or what the future lies upon them. So today, we have with us the chairman. We're honored to have the chairman with us of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, Mr. Dhammika Ranatunga. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us on the show.
It's good to be here.
So let's go back in time. You know, we're very passionate in terms of learning that Sri Lanka is the island, and then you have, according to the maritime pathways, everyone does that little stop in Colombo, or it may be in Hambantota or Trincomalee, but there is in favors of environment, then there is stoppage or container changes, etc., etc. What's so significant of having 7 ports in Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka, being in the Silk Route, plays a major role in all these activities. If you take Colombo, Colombo has been identified as a logistic hub. The reason being, Colombo operations have been in the past. If you go back years and years, our operations have been in par with international standards. So we have established ourselves as one of the best logistic centers in the world, and we also have the benefit of being really close to the equator. When that happens, our operation, we do 24-hour operation, because the variation of the wave height is minimum. It's like 0.5% of variation, so we can get the ships in and out of the harbor 24 hours of the day. Mm-hmm. So there is minimum delay for shipping lines. Our staff is very educated, they are very efficient, so there are a lot of factors that go into being one of the major logistic hubs in the world.
Right. One of the major concerns that we had is the opened Hambantota port, which was the highlight by a lot of people. A lot of them recognized Hambantota as another destination. Then we had Trincomalee as well, and apparently a lot of them say that Trincomalee is the most beautiful port. What's so significant about that?
It's a natural harbor with a big huge. The depth of the harbor is about 16, 17 in certain areas, and that can facilitate bigger ships. And we have identified Trincomalee Harbor as a logistics center and also as a leisure port. Mm-hmm. So these two we are in the process of developing plans with ADB to facilitate both activities.
Right.
As far as Hambantota is concerned, I think it's mainly it's going to be a logistic hub where there'll be a lot of container movements happening there.
So you defined it as a leisure port. What does that mean?
We are looking at the tourism industry,
okay,
which should come as a national project, and we have to figure out how much expenses are needed to facilitate that, because if we want to have a dedicated berth for cruise terminals, then the cost versus return on that is key when we take those decisions. Mm-hmm. So, but Trincomalee, if you take history of our country, it's located in a place where it gives you easy access to Dambulla and Radhapura, those areas. Yeah. And the other port that we have identified as a leisure port is Galle, where there is another historic valley there as well.
And it's a beautiful port,
it is.
Yeah. And with the renovations, I believe there's a lot of changes happening there as well, isn't it?
In Galle, right now we are floating RFP for a marina, because that's another part of the leisure industry. Again, I have to emphasize this because it is important as an institute for us to see, okay, can this be a project that can be taken over by us and pay the loans that I needed to do the infrastructure, or should that be a national project? But as far as we are concerned, we are looking for more and more PP models today, so that we have the private investors coming in and working with us to develop all these ports. That's the model I think going forward we'll be looking at it with SLPA having regulatory functions and also part of the operational functions.
As well.
Yeah, now, Sir, Ports Authority of, maybe it can be Sri Lanka, it can be overseas. In any country, the Ports Authority will be the most interesting department, I guess, you know, logistics happening. And Sri Lanka, we have 7 ports, we have 3 terminals, you know, interesting things happen, you know. So, what's the progress when you compare to 2015 and 2016? How is the progress? Because you've been a couple of years now, right now, in this chairman position. So, how do you think about the progress?
Actually, myself and the new board members, we started in October 2015.
Right.
So, we are getting to a year down the road. We have made significant progress. Today, Galle is a profit-making port. Trincomalee is a profit-making port. Colombo, we are doing extremely well. Hambantota, there is a huge loan burden. We are working with the government to sort of how we can take some of the burden away.
Are there any plans of expanding this 7 to a certain extent where we can have more ports in Sri Lanka and get more foreign direct investments, imports and exports?
No, I don't think we are looking in that direction, because building ports, when you look at the expenses,
is huge.
It is huge. So what we need to do is take Colombo. We have a plan going up to 2040, where with the developments we have planned, it will give us a 35 million TEU capacity. So, but these things have to be looked into very carefully. There need to be constant evaluations, because the industry changes, marketplace changes. So we put a plan in place, but before embarking on it, there are some that are at conceptual stage. But before you move into and invest in these plans, you need to make sure you support it with good intelligent data, looking at the marketplace and how the market behaves. So have the plans, then are we going to do it? Those are decisions that has to be taken with constant evaluation, I believe.
So how about the recent figures of imports and exports in Sri Lanka? Has it massively changed, negatively, positively, or rather how busy is the exports now?
We are very busy. In fact, if you take the top harbors in the world, we are the only port that is recording a double-digit growth. We are showing about 11.5% growth up to date, and that's a pretty significant achievement. That growth will continue. Last year, 2015, we did about 5.2 million TEUs, and this year we are planning to do 5.8, and we are on the right path for that. So there is growth taking place, but there are some changes happening in the marketplace where shipping lines are building larger vessels today to reduce their cost when they are moving cargo. So ECT, East Container Terminal, that we are working on right now, sooner we get it up and running is better for us, because already I have had meetings with shipping lines, head of shipping lines, and they're very keen to reserve their slots for these deep deep water birds.
Yeah.
So that's something we are in the we just closed the EOI and in the process of going into the RFPs. But these are taking time. These are legal documents that has to be approved by AG's department. Our board has to approve. Then it got to go to AG's department.
Long procedure.
Then once everything is tightened up, then again the negotiations into nitty-gritties of how the operations are going to be done. So these are time-consuming
Things.
areas. So I think we need to relook at what we are doing and see whether there is a better way to do it.
Interesting.
And also to ask you, sir, now in terms of security, that's one of the primary points or factors that's considered when it comes to a maritime hub. And then you have the number of entrants coming in, then looking at the environment. All these obstacles are something that you have to focus on. What does the Sri Lanka Ports Authority has as the key objectives and factors that they consider?
See, when you take security, there are let's go back in 1979. SLPA was formed by a Parliament Act merging 3 institutes, and this act protects certain interests of the country and the industry. And in my opinion, it's really well drafted act. Are there restrictions to the growth? It may take a little longer, but if you wait, I think the present act is a really good act that we have in place, because it protects the interests of the country and also the institute, because there are certain security factors that come into play at that point. Then when you look at operational security, where Harbour Masters Division gets involved, movement of the ships, safety of these ships, they go in, they look at the safety of these equipment they have on ships and all that. So that part is taken care of by the Harbour Masters Division. And then we have a director security who runs the security of the port, land security. And also we are working with Navy. Navy is playing a role as far as security is concerned. So we are sort of pretty much, there are 3 segments that are looking at the security of the port. At the same time, we are looking at improving it. In fact, we had a discussion headed by our minister about 4 or 5 months back. We are looking at a risk assessment committee where we get all the security personnel involved and drawing up a sort of booklet where it gives you clear guidelines. Okay, if there's an emergency, let's say it's a fire, what do we do, and educate the staff, because that part we are lagging still, so we need to get to that point. That committee is headed by Assistant Secretary to the Ministry, and our security personnel are involved in it.
So interesting. Now, well, as I mentioned before, the Ports Authority might be the massive department in Sri Lanka doing utmost things and most important things in Sri Lanka. Right, now talking about Ports Authority, imports, exports and whatnot, the main objective is the maritime hub, if I am correct. So Sri Lanka, which has a good economic strength, government policies are so much strengthened, and we have a good educating workforce. So what's your view? Are we actually going to the maritime hub actually, or are we still pending, or maybe are we in a neutral position, or what's that?
We are a maritime hub.
Okay.
And can we grow? Of course we can grow. There are a lot that can be done.
Okay.
If you go back few years, the way things were managed, I think there need to be some changes, and we have implemented some of that. When you say a logistic hub and the economy, Sri Lankan economy you're talking about, just to enlighten the viewers, I would say today our businesses, 75% of our business is transshipment. So we work as a logistics center where different countries send their cargo, and then re-export. Major vessels bring them in, then feeder vessels carry them out to smaller locations. Like there are various operations that are taking place. Can we grow? Yes, we need to grow. But at the same time, we keep monitoring what is happening in the marketplace. If you followed the news recently, there was some shipping lines went underwater. At the same time, there are a lot of mergers taking place. How will that impact shipping industry as a whole is something we need to look at also. But these plans are very solid plans supported by data going up to few years. And what we have, the plans that we have are really good plans. Like I said before, but some are at conceptual stage. So we are going to make sure we sort of review these plans constantly before we embark on investments, and then you don't want to look back and say, okay, we invested in this bird development and we don't have enough businesses to come in.
Yeah. Right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll speak about the future progress of the Sri Lanka.
iShuffle. iShuffle. iShuffle every Monday at 9:30 p.m. on Channel I.
It's been a hard day.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. To enjoy the best music from those decades, tune into Cafe Classics every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. on Channel I.
If you think betting is a battle, think of those whose life is a battle. Over 1,000 people die each year due to kidney-related ailments. Let's end chronic kidney disease.
Presidential Task Force for Prevention of Kidney Disease. Be kind.
Welcome back to our program, and we're in conversation with the chairman of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, Mr. Dhammika Ranatunga. We're going to ask him about the future vision, which is probably much more challenging with the increased development of information technology and the changes that every shipment has logistically and all its departments. What's the progress like in the future?
We want to be in the first 20 ports in the world, and to get there are a lot of things that we need, including increasing the capacity. So one side we are working towards increasing the capacity of the port, that is done with supporting data. At the same time, there's a lot of work that needs to be done as far as the administrative functions are concerned. If you take finances, we need to have disciplined financial models in place. In fact, 2015, when we came in, for the first time in the history of the port, we introduced a zero-based budget. When you do that, your you have a clear idea what your revenues are going to be, what your expenses are going to be, and those funds are allocated for a specific purpose, and you can't move those funds away unless there is proper approval process is done. And at the same time, we have identified each port as a separate profit center, and that has resulted in producing profits in Galle and Trincomalee, and we are growing. So that's a good direction. We are looking at software. Earlier it used to be SLPA account, all the money is coming in and you had no way to figure out, okay, how is Galle performing, how is Trinco performing. So I sat with the finance and IS department and we worked on this formula where we have more intelligent data today as far as each port is concerned. That will help us to develop better plans for respective ports. And then HR is a crucial factor because if you take industries all over the world, they have realized good solid staff makes a big difference in your performances. Unfortunately, over the years we have neglected that aspect. Today we are working with private sector, we are educating the workforce, we are letting them understand how important their job is. For example, say a girl working in Hambantota factory, her life, her income depends on what we do here. Okay. That girl looks after a family with a job that she's doing over there. Okay. But that's a small picture. But see, this particular factory producing garments, they want to send their garments to, let's say, east coast of America, where it's seasonal. So these seasonal products got to go to that particular location at a particular time. And if we don't do our job properly, if there are delays, and if these shipments get delayed constantly, then these manufacturers will take a good look at, okay, is Sri Lanka a good place to have a factory, or do we want to move to another part of the world? So it is important for us to make sure this cargo gets to the destination in time. So it is not going to work and doing a job, 8-hour, 10-hour job and going away. There is more, there's a lot of importance in what they do. So we started doing these educating sessions and people appreciate it. We started doing a lot of CSR work because as an institute there are social responsibilities. We have never looked at that before. With these educational programs, when we had this work to raise funds for
Shramadana campaigns and much more.
I remember over 4,000 staff members walked from one side of the Galle Face all the way to the port. So it is refreshing to see people are thinking differently. They understand the importance of their work. Also, as you know, there are a lot of political appointments in the institute, and some of these staff, they need help because they're hired to do a job. Are they competent enough? There are some gray areas there. So what we are doing is with our training center, we working with the outside parties. We are sort of getting training programs for them. Most recently, we went for the internal audit division. We developed a program that runs into 9 months, 2 days a week, where the people who have been recruited but not in the same field are getting the training to do their job efficiently. So likewise, there's a lot of emphasis on HR and a lot more to do. Then the operations, we have saved about 40% of idle time today. This is supported with good data, and that has improved our efficiency overall. So resulting, the most important thing for shipping lines is how soon they can come to our port, do their operation, go back. So all these little things will help the to improve the efficiency, and we are very closely working. In fact, I'm personally spending time with my IS department because we need to bring in a lot of new systems that will improve our work, and there are a lot of systems out there. In fact, the systems that we have, they are also not utilized 100%. So we are getting to stages where we are bringing in those different segments and getting it done. At the same time, we are looking at new systems that can improve the efficiency. As far as future goes in a bigger scale, you can do fully automated terminals, you can do semi-automated terminals. Our immediate plan with the ECT is to work with a semi-automated, and then next stage we are going to look at fully automated. But again, the cost is an important factor, and also you have to look at the country. You can't bring in what is happening outside Sri Lanka. Like, you have very efficient ports in the world, and they're fully automated. The efficiency is due to fully automation, right? But is that the model that we need to have here? It's something we need to seriously look at. For example, Port Authority, apart from making profits, we are self-funded. Apart from making profits, we do address the problem of unemployment somewhat, right? And that in turn helps to revive the economy in the country. Like, say, for example, we have 9,600 people working there. If you take 5 members in the family, it's almost 50,000 people being taken care of. And then this guy, when he takes his paycheck, go to a boutique and buy something, money circulates. So those are important factors that we need to look at. So let's say fully automation take $2 billion and semi-automation only cost half that and have more employment. Is that a better model for us to look at as a whole, as a government? Those are considerations that we need to.
Those are big considerations, I suppose, because it's a huge task at looking at all 7 ports and also the developments as well. Time is permitted for us, and that's why we are deeply honored to have you with us on the show and definitely share about the insights and the progress. And I think for 1 year, you've done a fabulous job, and we wish you all the very best in your continued success in your career. And we'd love to have you back on the show to detail us on the Sri Lanka Ports Authority.
Thank you. It's not me, it's me and my team. So credit goes to those guys, and thank you for having me here.
And from all of us here, we're saying bye-bye on Tuesday's edition on the program. Hope to see you tomorrow. Join us at 6 a.m. See you.
Bye-bye.
Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy, clap along.